Hello. Hello.
Those of you that are here, can you let me know that you can hear me? Perfect. I'm going to mute my microphone and I'll come back on at 10. Thank you, guys.
Turn that one.
Okay, call me back. I love you. Bye.
It's fine. Hopefully. 2 seconds. Addicted.
Can you hear me now?
All right, well, welcome everyone. Those of you that can make it, that's fantastic. I know that there's a lot of people that are unable to attend, and so we are recording this meeting. Looks like we're already starting in with some questions. 1.6 has dicey and grading 80% of my students. Question 1, yeah. That I've seen that same thing. They're looking for low impact, they're looking for one of those 2 answers. It is only 1 point, and they're just skipping through and putting things like, oh, you can do it for a lifetime, and that's not the quality of that. Maybe we can come up with some just suggestions in a suggested changes box for that for the fall. But for now, I don't think we're going to make a change on that. I am having those same issues and probably some of the others, so maybe coming up with some other ideas. But if they get somewhat close to that, not the exact answer, I do give them credit for that. Also on the demonstration of movement assignment, lots of students are sending me a message asking if they can have a partner from the actual class. Their partner is completely up to them. We cannot share other students' names and partners with them. So it can be if they know someone already in the class, of course, a classmate, a friend, things like that. If they think they have one in the class, go ahead and do it. I already have 2 kids. It's kind of hilarious. They're doing like some Ariana Grande, their friends in the class. They do dance already. So absolutely. If they already have those relationships, they can do that. Yes, definitely putting in feedback for the comments under the completion once they're done. Very important. Oh, they think I need to pair them up. Well, I guess maybe we need to clarify that more. I haven't had anyone ask me that before, but I think it says on there they have to choose a partner for themselves. But we can double check on that again. I'm pretty certain I put on there they need a partner. They choose their partner. I think I said it could be a family member, a friend. So yeah. How about you guys hold off on your questions a little bit? Let's get through the agenda. I love all these questions. I think it's great, but we need a little, let's get some agenda items through and then we'll come back to these. And I have, so we'll answer these last 2 and then we're gonna go to the agenda and then we'll come back. And you have, I have a student leaving town without electronics July 7th. Can we open 6.3? No. We are not opening 4.1, 5.2. Now is 6.3 the reflection to open July 4th when they can take the final. 6.3 isn't locked to a date like that other than it's linked to the items before that. And they can take that before the final, before July 4th, they can open 6.3. Although they're not getting through 4.1 and 5.2. All right. Well, let's start with a few items on here. One, how is everybody's first calls going? Is there anything that we need to know about the first calls? Are you finding that you have numbers? Anything like that? You should be contacting parents tomorrow if you don't have anyone started. Perfect. So many voicemails, yes. Kids don't even set up voicemails anymore. So a lot of times if I don't have a voicemail, then I send a text. Absolutely. And I looked at this morning, looking at those kids that are not starting. I go into students and grades and select anybody under 2%. You can see all those that have not started, and I'm going to start contacting them today. And if they're not started tomorrow, I'll start contacting their parents. That's Laura. That just shows where our lack of phone etiquette has fallen behind, because kids have not grown up with phones. They've grown up with texting. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm no professional, but far from it. But gosh. First calls are difficult, and some of us are still trying to get all of those done. So I would reach out tomorrow if you still haven't had any contact and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, I've been trying to get a hold of your kiddo. I left a voicemail, text, I haven't heard back or seen any work. Want to make sure it's on their radar, something like that. So if you have issues or you need help with anything on first calls, just give me a call or a text. And then you should be putting all of that in your notes, all of your phone calls, your voicemails, your text messages. I don't believe you have to put in emails, but it is nice that you put it in there, just because when maybe Laura or Tanya and Matt, who might be in this meeting as well, who are evaluators, are looking at the communication that's been sent out, knowing everything that's been sent out is in your favor. In fact, if you have IEPs or other special situations, circumstances, make sure you're putting those in notes. You can see those IEPs just under the roster. And if it's something beyond that, I know Chrissy Ballack, she is the point of contact for any IEPs in situations like that.
Hey,
And
shut
yes,
the door, please.
no, you don't have to enter emails. So, okay. Weekly activity checklist. If you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and do that before Sunday. That's your deadline. It's pretty easy, and it does review how to do discussion, how to grade discussion boards, how to grade drop boxes, and how to grade,
Bella.
think of the last one. Laura, if you can remind me, it was discussion board, drop boxes, and it'll come to me. But it does give you some practice on some of those unique graded items. I think it's quizzes, grading quizzes.
It's quizzes. And I also added information about the parent portal.
Oh, yes.
It will be it should be active today.
Okay, okay. So check out that weekly activity checklist, because you've got some reviews on some of those items and some more information on the parent portal. Teacher training states that we can see students' passwords. Yes, you're right, Laura. And that is getting changed. That's fantastic, because I know a lot of us have had issues with that. And I thought that we weren't going to be able to see those. So that is just the best news I've heard all day, because I could name off about 10 of us that have struggled with students getting their password to sign in. So thank you, those teachers that have been about that.
I meant to say, sorry, I'll change that in the summer training. We can't change that about the passwords.
That's okay. So I wanted to address that. That's because of just FERPA violations, right?
It's legality of us being able to see passwords. If kids, you can't see passwords. One of the things that we've been telling the kids is we will give them the email address in their account and say, this is the email address you need to be able to access to be able to receive the password reset link. And then it's actually helped because they'll say, that's not a good email address. Oh, great. What is a good email address? And then we change that in iOasis.
Perfect. And you know, when I've talked to the kids and they've not known that, I've told them the email that I have on file for them, and they do the same thing. And I say, okay, well, let's make this whatever you want it to be, but this is the email that your new password's going to be set up with. So in that first call checklist, when you're checking that registered email, that helps too. Because the only way for them to get their password at that point is to click on that forgot password if they don't find that email.
Amy,
All right. Yeah.
this is Luke Stone. Hey, I had a question. I had a student email me. It said, hey, on 2.4 cardio quiz, there's a question attached, and here's the question. It says, when using recovery heart rate as an indicator of fitness, one should do the following, except, and then it has 120 beats per minute, 140 beats per minute, 130 beats per minute, 150 beats per minute. So I don't know.
Okay. Two things. One, we've got a lot of people that are sending in email questions, and I don't want to forget them. So if we could just try to just take turns here. I didn't know, Luke, you were actually on microphone. That's okay. Thank you for addressing that, and that is been identified, and that should be changed at this point. Now, the students that already took that quiz, it probably won't change for them. They're not going back into it anyways. But yes, that has been addressed. That was just a total typo, and I apologize for that.
Thanks.
Okay. How quickly does iOasis update when we change an email? It should change instantly. Usually you click that continue button down at the bottom, and then when you go back, it will be there.
It'll take overnight to change in D2L.
Oh, okay, in D2L. So if she went to email after that, it would not go to that. Okay, so just say, we'll just go with overnight then. Thank you. I have several who can't figure out to access old emails, even sending them the messages with that email. Ooh, what do you think, Laura? What I would do is probably with their old emails, they're probably going to have to do a forgot email with that, like with Gmail, when you forget your email access code, they're just going to have to figure that. At that point, we could do a submit ticket, and I think that submit ticket will then send them their username and password. I have seen that be an option as well. Can we change parent email? I believe that you can. The video feature on the course of the new
Good science is cool.
inside. Can you guys mute your microphones for me, please?
That's right.
A couple of things I am doing. So can we change parent emails? I think you can change everything in their profiles.
Everything but their username.
Everything but their username. There you go. A couple of things I am doing with hopes of better communication is I email all parents a weekly update preview on each Sunday, and I've been using the video feature on the course news 2 times per week instead of typing lots of info. That's awesome, Vince. That is awesome. Just make sure when you're making your videos that you guys are using, I sent out a link today. A lot of people want to just click on record video, and you actually have to click on insert stuff and then click on video note, and that way everybody can view that, and you won't have parents or teachers having any issues with that. I'm sure they know how to check their SNAP score though. Just a reflection, kids mark in first assignment that we didn't do first call. That's not a problem. That just lets you know that they still haven't heard from you. I'm not going in and making sure, I'm not checking on that. But, when I see that, I know the kid didn't get my voicemail. I know that might not be the right number, and then I'm able to write down, because they write their phone number in the next one, and that's kind of awesome. You can get that new number. And no, you won't be dinged for that. although that is Tanya and Matt that probably should. I don't know if they go through that, but I do not. That's more help for us feedback as instructors. I don't remember how students choose partners for 1.3. They choose their own partner. They can be a family, a friend, a neighbor, a classmate, anything like that. But they're choosing, it can be their mom. I had a young man and his mom do ballroom dancing, and it was just beautiful. I suggested in the changes to add me email to that question. Oh, okay, awesome, awesome. I love it, guys. Put all these suggested changes in there. That's how it gets better and better for all of us every year. All right, so let's go back to our agenda items. The next thing is the dates to remember. Remember that the drop date is June 17th. So what you should be doing this following Sunday, Monday, whenever you like to do your weekly announcements, is making sure you're contacting everyone. They are aware of the drop deadline. You're constantly doing an update on grades to see how much they've progressed, because any student that does not reach the 20% will be automatically withdrawn and receive an F on their transcript. Remember, students can withdraw up before then, and they do that on their own just by clicking the withdrawal button in their account when they log in. Some other dates to remember, July 15th through the 18th are final exams. A lot of people are asking me already when the final exam reservation is going to open up, and I think I recall that being at the end of June, and we cannot allow the kids to take that before July 4th. And if they want to take the final exam, you know, between July 4th and July 14th, they'd have to arrange for their own proctor, and that proctor can be, oh, awesome, June 21st, the reservation link opens up. The proctor can be a librarian, the proctor can be a Sylvan Center proctor, a testing site where they can get that. Snap score is not part of our, that's nothing. I think that's a joke. Someone's making a joke. Just looking at dates, I guess everything else is, you can see that on that dates to remember, but your most important is that June 17th, and then the final exam July 15th through the 18th. Yeah, okay. Couple other things. The chapter 2 coming up. Chapter 2 is usually a doozy. It's the toughest one in PE1. You have a lot of labs. You have a lot of kids having to exercise and take their heart rate. And so it does need some coaching up. I would do an announcements, I would do emails, I would send out text messages explaining a little bit about each of the labs and what they're going to be expected to do, and reviewing, you know, taking their pulse and finding their heart rate. And those labs do have second attempts. So I've already had kids starting to take a second attempt there. They get the feedback. They know what they need to do next. But chapter 2 would be the chapter that you need to do the most coaching up on. I think Laura or someone else has always sent out it was chapter 2 hints. I loved it. And I kind of took a take off that, and I do my own kind of chapter 2 reminders and things like that. It's really, yes, that's right, Laura. I think I saved it from you. So, you know, putting some things on there to coach them up on chapter 2, starting early in the week would be a really good idea. Yep, and an online meeting. Yeah, because some of these kids, you know, it's hard for them to visualize what we're trying to expect them to do, especially if they've not been exposed to anything like that before. Chapter 2, all right, drop boxes. So some of us are going in and doing our drop boxes, and then we are seeing that they are still showing up as not graded, right? They're showing that we have not read them and posted them, and we are. But D2L, the new drop boxes I've added, they're not always showing as if they've been read. And so although they've been graded and submitted, you might be annoyed that you still see that on the homepage. I know that drives me crazy a little bit, but I've kind of become accustomed to it because otherwise you have to go back in and mark them as read. There you go, Megan. Exactly. So I just didn't have the patience to mark them as read, but yeah, you would have to go in and mark them as read. Video news announcements. I touched on that earlier. Using those really helps you connect with the kids. I couldn't believe how much the kids responded to my announcement, and the fact that so many were aware of the final exam week, and we immediately started talking about the final exam week and how, you know, what their plans are if they're going to be out of town and how they're going to plan for that. Yes, that is a good question. Proctorio is remote proctor now. Is that correct, Laura? That's what I took it as well, that we don't use remote proctor, we use Proctorio.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the students, how to schedule your final exam, you may want to go in and print out that copy and look at it. It does have the directions, and then go down to Proctorio about how to set up your computer. The
Okay.
price dropped to $10.
Fantastic.
Instead of $20. They must be in Chrome, and they must have to be able to install an extension.
Okay. Okay. I saw this too, Laura. We had Dan created that new exercise, his own widget for them to calculate their target heart rate. Do you know that, Laura? Do you remember that?
Think so, yes.
And so I noticed that just this morning too, that's there showing them how to do it in the exercise log folder. But then when you go into my assignment and when you go into the introduction folder where it explains about it, the link still goes to the old target heart rate calculator. And then my screencast is the old target heart rate calculator. So I will send you some information on that. I don't know how quickly or if you want to change that now, but that's an issue there.
Okay.
I'm writing that down. Well, I think that is the end of my agenda items, other than that our next meeting is June 18th. And I'd like to open it up for question and answers now. I know there's a lot more of those, so please take your time. Laura's here, I'm here. I think Matt and Tanya are here too. So are you guys, I guess my last question should be, are you comfortable with the evaluation rubric, and do you have any questions on how you're going to be evaluated?
I'm going to go back to Kelly's question about putting in a Google form link. Technically, you can't do that, and we're still trying to figure out a way to do this so that you all can get the information. You can't use your own Google account to grab student information. That would violate FERPA laws. So in order to do that, we would have to give you all Google accounts. You can actually, since you have Office 365, you can create a form within Office 365 and put that in, because that's retained within the Indiana Online environment, so that would not violate FERPA laws. But we're still we're still trying to get around that, Kelly. So that has not jumped off of our list for that. The 3.2 link, I think that's question number 14.
Yep.
That Tanya and I just redid, so that should be done, hopefully on that. Proctorio, can students sign up for Proctorio before the 4th of July? I believe we still have that at, and I think, Amy, we bumped it just to July 1st, just to make that
okay.
easy. I think the same thing. They can sign up for it, but they can't take the exam until July 1st.
Okay.
So they can sign up. Let's see. Okay, I think that was all me, all the questions
Yep, yep.
that I could answer.
I saw Lisa, yeah, some kids every year you've got, a handful that blow through all the assignments. They obviously can't do the concluding fitness test or the parent survey. Awesome, Tanya. Thank you so much. That was, Vince actually highlighted that right before this meeting, so I appreciate that.
Lisa, go into the summer training course. There is a drop box in there to submit your picture, and Christine will change that. No, you guys cannot change your profile.
Oh, their picture?
Yes, the profile picture. There is a drop box in the summer training
Okay.
in the HR information module that you could submit a new profile picture. That's new, so you did not miss it.
Okay. Her name is Chrissy Balak. It's spelled B-A-L-A-K, and her first name's with a C. So C Balak, and that's at indianaonline.org. And I've sent her a couple questions about some of you guys contacting me, and she just referred me to, oh, look, I had the wrong email. Laura's got it for you. She referred me just to make sure that we put everything in our notes. So she maybe is checking all of those. Would you say that, Laura? Is that how that works?
Yes, she's been keeping a file and everything else on IEPs.
Okay. On some of the IEPs, it just says other, and it doesn't say anything else. Like one will say other, and it says autism spectrum. So I put IEP, other, autism spectrum. One says IEP, other, and doesn't say anything else. But I just put that in there. Oh my gosh. I think, oh, so Lisa and then Laura. Lisa, as long as you put it in the notes, she's going to have information to it. But she is the person who's receiving that. We shouldn't have to communicate with her, but that's who would communicate with you if she had any other questions, I would guess. Laura tried updating your information on iOasis. So is that something she can, it states she needs to update her password, so she does that. Then it states that she has to update her email and two other things, and then it never updates. I don't know, Laura, any suggestions on that?
Basically, anytime I try to change anything, something red pops up and it never saves anything I do. I've never had a problem until this year.
Do you know, is it could be your password?
Yeah, I update the password, but when I hit save, it asks me to update my email for IOA. So I just go up there and hit return, and then it asks me to update my home email, but it never saved anything.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's telling me you don't have a special character in your password.
Yeah, I try to update that, and as soon as I click save, it tells me to change other things. It never saves anything.
Okay. When we're done, I'm gonna have you, Lisa. I'm gonna have you call my office.
Okay.
And I don't want to do this on the meeting.
No, that's fine.
Through it. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sounds like a boomerang. That's frustrating. Any other questions out there, guys? I am going to hang out here for about 10 minutes. If you are confident and comfortable and don't have any questions, I did record it. You are welcome to sign off. If you have more questions, hang in there. I think Vince, no, not Vince. Jeff has a blind student in PE 2. Jeff Nas, I think is his last name, from Carmel. Dropbox does not update immediately and we are not missing submissions. It does not always, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So like half of them will update that they've been read and the other half do not. I just make sure I go through all of them and mark the ones, if you want, you can mark the ones that you've read and are submitted, because otherwise it'll just keep showing up as if you haven't graded them and submitted them. No problem, Michelle. Yes, you guys will still have, you could have new students up until tomorrow from what I remember. So you should get an email about it though, so you don't have to like run the roster and go through it every day. You should get an email confirming that you have a new student. Thanks, Vince. Thanks, Julie. You guys are fabulous. Keep putting in those suggested changes. That makes it better for the kids and for all of us. Yes, Michelle. That has been an issue coming from the welcome folder, introduction folder to unit 1. Is that what you mean, or are you just meaning from one unit to the next unit? When all those boxes are checked, a lot of people think that everything is done. Well, she has to make sure she opens everything and goes through the overviews. I've even found myself having that problem sometimes, because you don't realize you have to open every little thing and click through each thing, and you have to get that 100% completion bar all the way across at the top. I think the last assignment in unit 1 opens unit 2, so she needs to make sure that's submitted as well. Maybe, I'm not sure, Megan, maybe it just, that is weird. I think there's a setting in iOasis where you can put where people have paid or not paid. I don't know if that's an issue with that too. It may be that the payment hasn't gone through. It could be a counselor approved. I kind of doubt that one. With iOasis updating quickly and then D2L being a little bit behind on those changes, I'm not sure. That is something, send me an email on that one. That was from Megan and Julie, like you've got a kid added, but you don't see them. Got it. Awesome, good. That's good for all of us to learn and know. When you go to class list, there's a drop-down button next to the student's name. This is for impersonating a student. When you click on the drop-down, it'll say things like email parent, email student, and it'll say impersonate student. And so that you click on that and you'll automatically impersonate whichever student you've clicked on. Are you going to do it?